Minnesota's blood donations are at a 10-year low. The Red Cross says many people are not donating because they are worried about their own health. Senator Amy Klobuchar hosted a virtual meeting with several blood bank officials. Blood donations have been down since the start of COVID-19, and that's complicated by the new year. Klobuchar says donations tend to drop following the holidays. Traffic deaths in Minnesota last year reached a 14-year high. Department of Public Safety says 497 people died in crashes. There were 162 speed-related deaths, a 33% increase from last year. There were also 124 drinking-related deaths, 24 distracted driving deaths, and 109 fatal crashes. Those killed were not wearing seatbelts. A man accused of shooting a man to death who confronted him about shoplifting at St. Paul liquor store has been charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors saying 44-year-old Kenneth Davis Jr. was shot with his own gun on December 27th. According to a criminal complaint, Davis was a regular customer at the store and saw the shoplifter stealing vodka, then confronted him with a gun. The two men got into a struggle. Davis dropped his gun, and police say the man shot him. He was arrested several days later at a motel. Taking a look at the KFGO Weather Center forecast. Blizzard warning that's in effect from 6 p.m. tonight until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Today, increasing wind with areas of light snow arriving later into this afternoon. Blowing snow, we'll see a high of 16 tonight. More of that blowing snow. Areas of snow as well, low of -5. Northwest wind 20 to 40 miles an hour. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy and windy. Areas of blowing snow. Ending mid-morning, we'll see a high of 0. Northwest wind 18 to 38 miles an hour and gusty. We'll see Thursday, partly sunny skies, a high of -8 and a low of 18 below. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
KFGO time is 2:10 Tuesday. Thanks for keeping it locked in to 790 AM and 104.7 FM KFGO. Hoping to hear from Congressman Kelly Armstrong here in just a little bit. But as you've probably been following along throughout the news of the day, travel, all of that, schedules are a little off. So we're going to be playing it by ear here. But when he does, or if he is able to call in today, we'll take all of your thoughts, your commentary on what lies in store 2022 underway when it comes to Congress and what they need to get done here before the elections take over. Really all of their take when it comes to going out fundraising, making all those requests as well. So we're going to try to get the latest there, but also you're looking at the calendar. Yeah, we're in a new year and we're about a year removed from the events that happened on the Capitol, and Congressman Armstrong obviously was there on that day and had the potential of being on the committee that is ongoing, this January 6th committee. And what transpired to where he no longer is or was never really seated on there, and what has unfolded since then. I'll be curious to get his take. But as you're well aware, you've been hearing throughout the day here, and we'll get some live updates from Too Tall Tom throughout the show here about the weather that's moving in. It's on your mind for a variety of reasons, travel in particular, and I'm already getting some Road Warrior reports at 35270. If you could do so safely, you can text those in all day, and we'll share with fellow motorists out there. And, of course, the Laney studio line open at 237-594. But this one, traveling from Fargo to Rolla, roads are starting to get bad between Grand Forks and Devil's Lake on Highway 2. Getting windy, snow is blowing across the road, making them pretty slick. Thanks for that report here. I did pull up the North Dakota DOT travel map, and I do see that there are some spots out there along Highway 2 that are starting to get kind of dicey. Overall, things look okay right now, but I have no doubt by the time you and I get to that 5 o'clock punch out, those conditions might be deteriorating as far as that blowing snow. And that's what Too Tall has been emphasizing throughout the updates here is that we might not get a whole lot of snow, but we might have a lot of blowing snow. But you're the eyes and ears out there for us. So if you can keep us posted on what's going on throughout the show here, I would greatly appreciate that. You can also call in on anything else you want to talk about or text in throughout the day as well. One thing that you just heard on KFGO News, when the other aspect of why we're following the weather, because travel conditions, to many of us thinking about heading south starting tomorrow through Thursday to get to a national championship game. We are keeping eyes on all of that as well, whether it's Hector International. I know people have chartered some flights to leave from there. Some actually getting out of here today. Others planning, I think, as early as 5:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere in there tomorrow. So keep it locked into KFGO. We'll let you know if anything does change. And obviously, you've been hearing, and if you missed our conversation with Kyle Potter yesterday with a Thrifty Traveler, I would encourage you to go to KFGO.com or wherever you get your podcast, look that up. It gives you some helpful hints to try to get you where you're going in as least stressful a manner as what can possibly be done right now. And doesn't it feel like sometimes there's not a whole lot that can be done, but at least he gives you some helpful hints there. But also for those of you that are getting behind the wheel and making the trek down tomorrow, it could be maybe delaying some of us from when we wanted to get out of here. So again, I'd keep it locked here for all the latest tonight, tomorrow, throughout the drive down to Frisco, because we are going to be bringing you the sights, sounds, and some of the videos down there when we are able to get there. And we do have some sponsors that we'll thank a little bit later on. You know, one of the things that I want to discuss a little bit later on and get your take as well when it comes to what we'd started the conversation yesterday about meat packing when it comes to the price of the cost, because there's some pushback already. And I want to hear from Bill Bullard about that with this president CEO of RCAF. But you have got the packers in the industry saying that, hey, this is a whole other issue. This is not us doing this. It's not our fault. It's not that we're a monopoly. It comes to workforce is what they're trying to pin this on, that there's not enough people working in the packing industry. There's not enough people out there to do the job that, say, $1 billion or $375 million in part of grants to go out there, build the facilities, open up the local packing plants or the butcher shops, that it's workforce. And the reason I want to throw this out there is because earlier, there's a couple of reports that came out. In fact, one of them showing that yet again, and we touched briefly on this when it was an April job report, but the record number of Americans quit their job here in November. 4.5 million Americans decided, you know what, this job, you can just take it, and I'm going elsewhere. And some people did go on elsewhere. Others, of course, went on to retire. But when you have that amount of people either leaving their job, retiring, my question with this whole great resignation, as what they're trying to categorize this as, because of the volume of people quitting their jobs, is for you, if you're an employer or if you're one of those employees that has looked at or, in fact, has made the transition, why are employees struggling to retain these employees? These employers, is it not the benefits? Is it the type of work? Is it not keeping up with the amount of pay when you're looking at what might be offered at other positions in a similar field? Or maybe you're going back to school and trying to get an extra education into some other field. My question just is, I think, relatively simple, and it's just your opinion. Why are employers struggling to retain you? Why are you willing to, as of right now, more easily get up, all right, here's my 2 weeks if you're doing that, and go apply for a job elsewhere? I know the job market, it's open for you. Hey, we've talked over and over again about how many times you can go any place, wherever you're listening to KFGO, and see a help wanted sign. You can see a signing bonus. You can see a variety of things that's going to entice you over into that new position. But what would it take for you to stay at your job? And what aren't employers doing? That's my question for you. You can answer that at 35270. You can also call into the Laney studio line at 237-5948 or toll free 1-800-880-5346. Messages coming in. I'll get back to those right after this quick break. I'm Tyler Exodus. You got it locked in to Afternoons Live on KFGO.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. as we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out.
Right.
And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and
One of them
buddy of
wondering
mine,
about
Jake.
the activities down in Frisco. Every year we have a pep fest that typically goes on. I don't have an answer right now. And if I were trying to probably pull one out there, I'm sure the answer is going to be everything's going forward according to plan. But we'll dive into that a little bit later on as far as what, if anything's changing. Yesterday at the end of the show, they talked about having these contingency plans as far as the game goes, depending on a variety of things. Mostly timelines and positivity, if at all, and people having fingers crossed that nothing changes. And Saturday at 11 o'clock, you're going to hear the kickoff on our sister station, 740 The Fan. We'll dive into that a little bit later on. I want to keep with some of the messages that have come into 35270 about the topic at hand here when it comes to 4.5 million people, Americans, quitting their job in November. Record. It's a record number of people that quit. And it's not as though they just quit and necessarily all left the workforce, because employers hired 6.7 million people in November, which is up from 6.5. So more people are entering the workforce, but you're just quitting a job going somewhere else at any given time. And the question is, what are employers doing to keep you? Or is it just, we've been at this job for so long? I mean, there's a variety of reasons, but my question to you is, what is it for you? What do you thought? Tyler, there are too many open positions. Many people job hop because so many options. It's an employee market. Yes, I think you're right as far as the employee market. And that's where we've had, when you look at the strike that happened at Kellogg, John Deere had a little bit of a situation as well, not locally here, down in the manufacturer. The leverage that workers have right now is the most leverage they've had at any time that I can remember in the now 35 years. And of course, I wasn't exactly paying attention for all those years, but the leverage for an employee to say, I'm going to go take my talents elsewhere, give that a shot. And to be honest with you, and this is a change, I think, just overall, not in the employee attitude, but just the job market in general. People aren't staying necessarily at jobs for the tenure of their entire adulthood. I mean, I had a grandmother that was at the same job for 50 plus years at a bank. That's so rare, but even if you were a part of a manufacturing line somewhere, we'll just pick anyone here, Case or Doosan, whatever, to where that tenure, I don't know is as long as what it used to be. And I'm not sure if that's just on the employee side or what changed in that mentality that, this is a job versus a career at times, to where it used to be, look, once you're in, you work up that food chain, you get those raises, you get the benefits, the perks, the retirement, all of that. And so the mind shift has certainly been there for quite some time as well, not just over the last 2 years. That's how they enjoy not working, and they think it's only a matter of time till the bad variant encompasses the whole planet. So party time can't fix stupid. I don't agree with that at all, because I'm just saying the employers, they've hired more people in the meantime, and there's been other. If you look at the people that left whatever job, the industry most impacted right now, I don't think it's going to surprise you when it's restaurants and healthcare workers. Were for much of the surge, but these people didn't take any little benefits and then go and work from home, because those have been long gone. You know, this wasn't all right, go and you can live off of the fat of the land or whatever federal assistance you are, because it's been gone for so long that I don't think that argument holds up anymore. Tyler, my thought on the Great Resignation was partially the result of workers laid off because of the pandemic. It took any job during the pandemic. Those people are now finding more suitable positions and leaving the jobs they took to survive. Well, then that could play into some of at least the hospitality side. I mean, when venues were closed down, when hotels were closed down, when you couldn't go have your beverage at whatever place because of capacity limitations, perhaps, but that's still ongoing in that industry. And I got a message in, and this is from my producer. November U.S. unemployment rate was 4%. So again, this isn't people just staying home. They're working, they're just not staying at the same job.
Yeah, so
They're
I've
quitting.
got the unemployment rate chart up from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and the Department of Labor. We're at 4.2% unemployment,
Yeah.
1.9 million uninsurance claims, a total of 6.9 million unemployed people in the U.S. This is the lowest it's been since pre-pandemic.
Right.
In February of 2020, it was 3.5. But before that, you can't find 4.2 going all the way back to January of 2002. There was a dip in 2007 where it got down to 4.5. Okay. So this is not a problem of people not working.
No. I mean, that's where even just the number of people that got hired surpasses the people that quit any given job. 35270. That's the text club. You can also call the Laney Studio line at 237-5948. Tyler, as a manager, it sucks the turnover. Great pay. We work on retainment benefits even for part-time. Starting rates for zero exempt over $15 even. And that's the thing. I'm glad you text in as a manager, as what when it comes to retention, and maybe there is. That's why is it the mentality? Is it the mindset of employees right now saying, God, is the grass greener on that other side? And there's very little an employer can do to retain, or what is there more to it? Because I mean, if you're offering more pay, which I think more businesses are, and that's not just starting pay, and that could be another area for debate. And if you're saying that, look, you can hire new people, pay them more, and then you're not paying those employees that have been there for a long time, I could see the rift there, and I'm sure there's examples out there of exactly that. But it could just be that we all kind of went through I don't want to say it's psychological, but we went through a kind of that self-reflection time period that, quite frankly, hasn't exactly ended when it comes to, all right, am I fulfilled by this job outside of just the paycheck? Do I want to maybe go find another talent? Can I use this opportunity to really dive in to something, I thought I was just volunteering, but I can actually make this a job. I know people that did exactly that. More happy going to work now than they had been in quite some time. And I think because of that forced pause for a lot of people, that pause allowed for them to take a chance. Because if not now, when? And as people are pointing out with this pandemic, okay, now it's the Omicron. You're hearing about hospitalizations across wherever, case rates, and I think there's a room for a conversation to be had there of which one you should really be following along with. But when does that whole ongoing every other week you're finding new things out? When does that end? And it feels like it's not that bright of a light at the end of that tunnel like it was maybe a month ago because of how rapidly this new variant is spreading. Now, again, there's a conversation to be had about case positivity versus hospitalization severity. More messages coming in. I tell you what, I'll get to them. We'll continue the conversation after we get you caught up with KFGO News. Rusty Alverson's got a little bit of news egg-related for us as well. Speaking of egg, we're going to use this and dive into, you got meat packers saying it's people leaving the job. You don't have enough workers to do what the administration's hoping when they're rolling out $1 billion to help alleviate the cost for you and I as consumers, but also when it comes to the revenue that ranchers get for the head of cattle, all of that, and hopefully something being done. We'll continue the conversation right after this. Stick around.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell,
KFGO News, it's 2:30, currently 12 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead today, increasing wind. Areas of light snow arriving later this afternoon. We're in a blizzard warning. That's in effect until 6 p.m. until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. A 2-alarm fire last night in South Fargo. A garage door fire was reported shortly before 10 at an apartment complex in the 5200 block of 28th Avenue South. Fire started in one of the garages and spread to several others, causing damage. Causes under investigation. COVID-19 continues to make an impact in both college and professional sports. The new Omicron variant has already canceled multiple FBS bowl games over the last few weeks. If the FCS championship happened to have the same fate, an approval plan is in place. National title game between North Dakota State and Montana State is still scheduled for Saturday, with both teams arriving in Frisco tomorrow. Either side will need a minimum of 53 players and 2 coaches. However, those numbers are not met. There is still an option to play. NDSU head coach Matt Entz says he's had his players take all the necessary precautions.
I feel like we're in a good spot right now. I'm more concerned with some of the injuries we have from a football standpoint. Right now being on campus and being the only one here, we've created kind of a natural bubble for ourselves. I think we're in a good spot right now, but again, we got to continue to advocate for our kids to be mindful of where they are and who they're around.
If the decision is not to participate in the game, it'll be declared a no contest, and the team with no COVID issues will be named champion. If neither can go, the championship will be vacated. KFGO News Time coming up on 2:32. It's 12 degrees. 12 degrees in the FM Metro. It's 2:32. 4 people were injured over the weekend in a fish house explosion and fire in northern Minnesota. Beltrami County 911 Emergency Communications received a report of a fire in a fish house on Upper Red Lake. Propane tank exploded within the fish house, injuring 4 that were taken to resort to await first responders. They were using propane for heat. A massive fireball filled the fish house after the valves were closed on the tank. In 2021, Minnesota reached its highest number of traffic deaths since 2007, according to the Department of Public Safety. 497 lives were lost in crashes on Minnesota roads last year. Mike Hansen is with the Office of Traffic Safety.
I'm finding it very difficult to find the right words because it's horrific, it's tragic, it's terribly sad, but it also makes me very angry that we're seeing the types of things on Minnesota roads that we continue to see.
There were 162 speed-related deaths in 2021, a 33% increase from the year before. Debate on marijuana will be on the table again as state lawmakers gather for the 2022 legislative session in South Dakota this month. So far, more than 24 of 38 posted proposed bills for the session deal with medical and recreational marijuana. It's the second session for legislators since South Dakota voters approved both medical and recreational marijuana in the 2020 election. The passage of recreational marijuana was legally challenged by Governor Kristi Noem and was ultimately struck down by the state Supreme Court. KFGO Weather Center forecast. Blizzard warning in effect from 6 p.m. tonight to 9 tomorrow morning. Today, increasing wind with areas of light snow arriving later into this afternoon with some blowing snow. We'll see a high of 16 tonight. We'll see a low of 5 below. Windy areas of snow and blowing snow tomorrow. Partly to mostly cloudy and windy with blowing snow ending mid-morning. We'll see a high of 0 tomorrow. And Thursday, partly sunny, high of -8 and a low of -18. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Halverson in the KFGO studio. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, doing well, thank you.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Been busy.
Yeah.
There's actually been some national news being made when it comes to agriculture the last couple of days.
Yeah, national news headlines.
National news headlines. We're going to get a little bit more in depth on the cattle of the rancher side here in a little bit when it comes to what was rolled out yesterday.
Yeah.
You took in the very riveting conversation. Press conference,
it was kind of a virtual, they had President Biden, they had Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack, they had Attorney General Merrick Garland sitting in a room at the White House. You could see windows in the background, snow falling. I don't know if that's real or not. I think it was.
Yeah, well, judging by the fact that people have been stranded on interstates for 25 plus hours over there.
So it was real.
It was, the snow was
legit.
Real. Yeah, it was not a green screen.
And then they had 5 or 6 different folks from different livestock organizations or entities kind of on a game show looking big screen, virtually.
Like Hollywood Squares?
Kind of. Yeah, a little bit. Oh. Yep. Zooming in. Yep.
Singing the praise of $1 billion potential going out there and what it'll mean.
Oh, man, $1 billion.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. $375 million for this, $150 million for that, $100 million for that and the whatnot and the other thing. And some critics may say maybe they're just tossing money at the problem. But Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack says that White House action plan for the livestock industry that they announced yesterday to diversify the meatpacking industry isn't just about money.
a voluntary label program called Product of the USA to allow consumers to know exactly where their resources, their consuming dollar is being spent. We think this is going to better inform consumers in making choices.
Now, under the current rules, Tyler, meat can be labeled Product of USA if it was processed here. The animal could be born in another country, say Mexico or Canada, but if it's processed here, it says Product of the USA. Now, important thing, he said voluntary. When we've tried to make that mandatory in the past, we have run afoul of our trade deals, such as NAFTA. Now it's USMCA. And there's been the threat of retaliation by Canada and Mexico against other U.S. products. And so we've had to back off the entire mandatory conversation. But some groups are still calling for mandatory country of origin labeling.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if it were me, I mean, I get their argument. Because if I'm going to, the butcher, or if I'm going, to a grocery store, a big box store,
yep.
If I see one that's made in America, American beef, and you see one, no offense to our, friends, south of the border, if I see ones that's, Mexican beef, I'm going with the American, just instinctively going with it, I suppose.
Yep, as a consumer, me too. That's just me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how you resolve it when we just signed this agreement within the last 2 years.
Yeah, they say it discriminates. Labeling, mandatory labeling is discriminatory, the critics say, the opponents say. And also some of the meat packing companies, we're slaughtering 112,000 cattle a day, and just the logistics of such a thing, difficulties there too.
Well, we'll be talking about those meat packers in a little bit later on.
Yeah,
get the opinion of the RCAF boys of.
Yeah, I'll be listening.
Yeah, they might have something to say about what the response was from the packers of this whole $1 billion. Even though I know Vilsack said it's not just about the money.
Yep,
we'll talk about it.
Okay.
You come back next hour?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll save that spot for you.
Okay.
Rusty Halverson, you want to check out more of his work? Sarah Heinrich, KFGO.com, and just click on that agriculture tab is all you got to do. Coming back to your thoughts about why there's so much turnover, why this great resignation going on. What can employers do to retain employees? Your thoughts coming in. I'll share it with the rest of the audience next.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. Just good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice.
There's some things when you're just casually reading through text messages that you hear on, say, an ad or a promo. I just hear Stone Cold Steve Austin's song. Okay, I'm going to guess either Derek Hansen or Paul Lyons put that together.
Might have been a combo effort.
Yeah, say, okay, who do you have to get in here? The greatest of Stone Cold. You got The Rock. I heard Hulk Hogan. I heard the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
I believe it ended with a woo.
There's somebody else in there, I think. Maybe not. Little did I know, I got WWE Super Show tickets in my hand. And when that sounder plays, we're supposed to give you those chance. So if you call in here, call in number 7-237-5948 when you hear that sounder, which we just played. So you can call in right now if you want to go to the wrestling match up at the Fargo-Dome. That's a week from Saturday. So you can join us down in Frisco, watch football this weekend. And if you want to go watch some good old-fashioned professional wrestling, you can call in and we'll send you up there right now. Or no, we're not going to send you up there right now. We'll let you know how you can get on up there because I do have tickets in my hand, and we'll have plenty more opportunities after that. You just got to be listening for that sounder. What you can't miss, if you were a 90s Attitude Era and you hear the glass shatter from Stone Cold Steve Austin. So phone lines are lighting up. You call in, your number 7-237. Those tickets are yours. In the meantime, I'm going to get back to the text club. We're having a conversation about the fact that in November, a record 4.5 million Americans said, I quit this job. I'm going to go take that other one down the road, across the highway, maybe at a town over. And the question is, what, if anything, can be done by employers to maintain those employees? That's the question that's going out to you. Tyler, wasn't that Randy Macho Man where he's asking Mean Gene a question? I thought it was Hulk Hogan. I will listen to the sounder again. I'm pretty sure it was Hogan. But the other name that could be out there is, of course, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. You can snap into a Slim Jim. Tyler, I think some of these businesses that are offering large sign-on bonuses should offer them to their employees who haven't stopped working this whole time during COVID. I think that is a fair suggestion. I mean, I do. I wonder, and I'm not trying to do a blanket statement here, because if you are an employer or you work for a company that did something to say thank you, I would appreciate to know what it was. Because you hear about the sign-on bonuses. You hear about, you know what, you get this, we're going to offer that if you come over because we need the growth. We need the new employees. But what has been done to thank those that stuck it out? What has been done, especially in the industries I just rattled off of hospitality and healthcare, which was where you saw the biggest number of resignations, at least in November. That's where the surge happened. And you think about healthcare in particular. You think about the burnout that's been going on there. I mean, I don't know. That's why I keep coming back to, I don't know what could have been done on the employee side or the employer side to say, thank you, we need you, you're the heroes out there we had told you about at the beginning of this whole thing. I don't know if there's a dollar amount or if there was a benefit because of the burnout that was not because of necessarily your employer, but it might have been because of the way of which people were reacting and not heeding your advice. I mean, to be honest, I can about imagine the frustration, the fatigue, the draining lack of, I mean, did you start losing, empathy at times because you have people that didn't heed the advice now coming in when they, needed you. And now they're overflowing again in some of these spots. Now, not all of them are COVID, so don't be, texting and saying, "Oh, you're not telling all the truth." You are hearing the reports, and you just heard about Frisco, Texas, where many of us are heading. That CBS National News saying that the hospitals down there are at capacity. They are getting full. So I don't know that the healthcare facility could have done much to retain some of them. Because it likely wasn't about the paycheck. It was probably about the type of job given the climate and the environment that we're in right now. But certainly, when it comes to other industries that might have just been, not necessarily on that front line, if there's that opportunity for the employer to offer something that they're offering new employees, I think perhaps that could play a factor in this. More messages coming in. In the meantime, I got to get that weather update from none other than Too Tall Tom Szymanski, who was called in. Tom, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, hey, man.
Weather, when I'm looking at maybe hopping on the road, start heading south, this, of course, in addition to everything else, it's not the forecast we wanted to hear, but there's nothing a guy can do about it.
Well, the further south you go, the better it's going to be, obviously. So, there are weather headlines, blizzard warnings that extend into South Dakota, Tyler, that, and again, like here, that don't compensate for much in the way of snow, but the blowing and drifting will be a problem. So I would say, if anyone is planning to leave tonight, I don't think anyone is, but tonight through, I would say, tomorrow evening is probably the worst window to go. But if you wait until after tomorrow evening and say if you leave on Thursday, you should be fine. I don't know if that's too late for a lot of people. When were you planning to go?
10 a.m. tomorrow morning, buddy, and then I just heard the window being tonight through tomorrow evening, and now it's okay. But we'll heed your warning. We'll keep it locked in here and listen to you because you're the best in the biz of telling us what to expect here. So what can we expect as we probably reschedule departure times?
The official end time for the blizzard warning is 9 o'clock tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that at 8:59 there's going to be a raging blizzard out there. Then at 9 o'clock it's going to turn calm and it's going to become a beautiful day. That's just the official window from the Weather Service, who is, by the way, in charge of issuing headlines. But I still don't think travel will be ideal between here and I would say just a little bit north of Sioux Falls until you get to the afternoon hours tomorrow. The further south you go, obviously, the better it will be, but it's still not even going to be a bargain from here southward through Summit and over toward, the middle part of South Dakota. Once you get past there, then things will get better and on the way down there. But locally here, we have a blizzard warning that kicks in at 6, runs till 9 tomorrow morning. And the strong emphasis is on the fact that this is not going to be a heavy snow producer. Yeah, sure, we're going to get some new snow on top of what we have here. The problem is twofold. A, the snow that we have is still, for the most part, very fluffy, and these very strong winds that we are going to get is going to pick it up and whip it around into a frenzy. In addition to that, I'm expecting a few inches of fresh snow, 1 to 4, somewhere in there, 2 to 4. It's going to be impossible to measure because it's going to blow around a lot, but something like that. And then on top of the old snow and the wind expected to gust over 45 miles per hour is going to create a virtual nightmare for travel, even in town. Once you get out of the city limits anywhere, out in the open country, you won't be able to see in front of you. So that is the problem that we have with this storm. It's not going to be remembered much for its snow, but it will be discussed, I'm sure, because of the wind with it. And also the return of Arctic air coming in from the north and west. Dangerously low wind chills in the 30s below tonight, remaining in the 30s below tomorrow, 40s, even some 50s below tomorrow night. It's going to stay very cold into Friday and then warm up late Friday and also into Saturday morning, but then colder air returns after that. Currently, the radar doesn't show anything close to us here. Bismarck up to Minot, Devil's Lake, and up to Cavalier, getting some light snow. Grand Forks, no snow yet. I would say the onset of the precip here will be somewhere between 5:30 and 6:30, give or take a half hour around our local area, and then the worst of it will probably be between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. tomorrow. So that's basically what I'm looking at. Currently, we have a wind north of 20 to 24, 13 at the airport and here. But yeah, guys, it's more of a blowing snow event. But you add on to what we have now, and it's real fluffy snow, a few more inches of fresh snow, and that wind that's going to probably double over what it is now. That's not good.
Not good at all. Not good one bit. But as we're saying, nothing a guy can do about it besides just kind of change plans accordingly. People are suggesting I leave right now. I don't know if that means they want me off the show or they want me down to Frisco. But Tom, I appreciate the update. All right, man.
By the way, before I go, I'll just say it's a temperature in Frisco is going to be somewhere between 60 and 65 for a high for the game. So, once you get there, you'll be fine.
I got a pack for all 4 seasons. From up here down there, we're going to hit all 4 different temperature gauges to where hopefully I'm more in shorts and a bro tank down in Frisco. It's that time of year.
Well, safe trip, buddy. I'll talk to you next hour.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, Too Tall Tom Szymanski, chief meteorologist here at KFGO. Congratulations to Sam for winning the WWE tickets to the Super Show. That's, again, next Saturday, January 15th. More messages coming in. Coming back to you right after this.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Just for the record, I do not have a NDSU Bison Bro tank.
Not yet.
Not yet. I tell you, if it's gonna be,
I guarantee you, though, there is a former T-shirt with sleeves cut off somewhere in a drawer at your house.
Yes, but cutting the sleeves off, was it because the arms and shoulders didn't fit in? It was just those become the yard work shirts. Yep. Though now here's the thing: they got a little bit more tight around the midsection. So that's if you're gonna do a bro tank. I don't care if it's for NDSU or if you're going to wrestling, you got to have enough breathability in the midsection. You don't want the dad bod really protruding through this thing.
Or maybe you do.
Perhaps.
Maybe that's your look.
Well, I want this texter to say, hey, leave now, Tyler. I'll just get on up and get on out of here.
Well, see you later.
Well, I guess that's it for Afternoons Live today. Eric Johnson, producer, got it from here. You're going to be somewhere tonight. Speaking of Frisco, we might as well give that a plug in the 2 minutes I've got.
I'm cutting out of here a little early and heading to Mackenzie River over in West Fargo. And we're giving away a Frisco trip.
Oh, a Frisco trip. He's going to get the details while
I'm reaching for the
This is live radio. I didn't give him a heads up.
We've got some free T-shirts. 50 people will get some T-shirts.
What sizes? Could we cut into a bro tank?
I hope so.
I just found what my option is.
I might have to secure one and get it to you rapidly.
Yeah. Well, I might have more time on my hands tomorrow by the sounds of it, but
yeah, and then we're gonna 7:05. We're gonna be giving away a chance to win a trip to Frisco for the championship game.
Very good.
Yeah,
you can't win if you don't play, and you can't.
And you got to be there to win it.
Yeah, so you got to go hang out with Eric Johnson over at Mackenzie River.
Also, a great spot for a beer and a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
They have a solid pizza.
They have there's a red ale or a red amber that they have over there on their lineup. For the life of me, cannot remember, but it's the one I go if I've been there, whether it's here and I know they've Sioux Falls, and I think Bismarck has one. There's a red ale. I think it's a Montana beer.
Yeah, I do. I think they carry a couple beers from, and I'm blanking on the name. I was just there recently. I honestly had one from Icewind and Mapleton. They had a couple options from Icewind. I had a milk stout that was very tasty.
I have not tried that brewery yet. I need to get out to Mapleton, a hop, skip, and a jump from here. So anyway, tonight, starting when? 5 to 7?
5 to 7, yeah, and we'll give away the tickets at 7:05, just shortly after 7 when we get everybody registered. And I think there's going to be people from the entire building there, so somehow I got the KFGO representation, but you're going to have to deal with a little bonus Derek Hansen over on this side of the room.
Yeah, so he'll be with me from 4 to 5, and then he's got Couch Potato Radio after the Drive Time News, which is more Derek Hansen. KFGO today, coast to coast. That's your evening lineup for all your goblins, ghouls, UFOs. That's tonight. Going into tomorrow. But I do want, I'm serious on a more upfront note. Keep it locked in here. Too Tall, you're putting you on notice of just what to expect when it comes to the weather, the conditions. I know that tomorrow was the planned departure for many of us. I did see some people get on the road. They chose or were able to get on the road today. Not all of us had that luxury. So, folks, there's nothing we can do about it. We can complain, but we can plan accordingly and get together safely and rendezvous down in Frisco. More Afternoons Live right after the CBS and KFGO News.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. Yeah. That's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Air
Mighty
Kansas Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too Tall Tops,
Joel
man.
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
I believe at a late night time on WGN is where I saw this. Night Court, that is, if you didn't pick it up by the sound. But on this date, January 4th, 1984, Night Court debuted on NBC. I must have watched it in syndication. I do believe on WGN. Ran 9 seasons, 193 episodes. Now the guy, the judge, whose real life name escapes me, 35270, he was... I mean, you saw him on Cheers also, but I think in real life he was a magician, because I know in the Cheers character, he did some tricks, all that. But I think in real life he did illusions. I won't say magic, illusions.
Yeah, I remember watching Night Court a lot, and I could not tell you a single thing about... I remember there being the sassy public defender and the big,
dark curly haired.
Yep, and the big tall bailiff, Bull.
Mm-hmm. Bull, yeah. Bald guy, right?
Yep.
Speaking of judges, remember that whole Nirvana Nevermind cover, which the man who was the child at the time, if you know what album cover I'm talking about, is in a pool. You could see everything. And he tried to file a lawsuit saying, yeah, it's child pornography. A judge threw that out, dismissed that today as well. So that's your honesty. Harry Anderson, thank you. I knew somebody knew. Yeah, it was Harry Anderson on Night Court, but also on Cheers. When we come back, we're going to switch gears here. I'll get caught up with the KFGO News Center. Bill Bullard, he's the president and CEO of RCAF. That whole $1 billion from the administration, the Attorney General. What's that mean when it comes to ranchers? We'll ask him next right here on Afternoons Live.
KFGO News, cloudy, Fargo-Moorhead 12 degrees at 3:07. I'm Paul Juergens, blizzard warning from 6 this evening to 9 tomorrow morning. People looking to fly from Fargo to Dallas for the National FCS game between NDSU and Montana State may face flight delays from Hector International Airport. Airport Authority Executive Director Sean Doberstein says the weather and a shortage of flight crews nationwide may come into play.
It's going to be a challenge going forward, and people need to. I've said this many times. Pack a bag full of patience, and the airlines are going to do everything they can to operate their flights, but they're at the mercy of having flight crews available to make that happen. And this is a challenge all over the country. It has been for the past few weeks, and it's going to be for the foreseeable future in terms of being able to operate flights.
Governor Walz has announced plans to open 3 more testing sites for COVID-19 as the rapid spread of the Omicron variant puts new strains on Minnesota's testing capacity. Minnesota is coming off its deadliest month of the pandemic for 2021 with 874 deaths in December. The surge in cases has fueled demand for testing. The National Guard and Department of Health will open new community testing sites in Anoka Cottage Grove and North Branch. Minnesota's blood donations are at a 10-year low. The Red Cross says many people are not donating because they are worried about their own health. Senator Klobuchar hosted a virtual meeting with several blood bank officials. Blood donations have been down since the start of the pandemic, and that is complicated by the new year. Klobuchar says donations tend to drop following the holidays. Congressman Jim Hagedorn says he has tested positive for COVID-19 and is undergoing treatment at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. The Southern Minnesota Republican says he has been vaccinated and is experiencing very mild symptoms, but doctors are concerned because he's fighting kidney cancer. Hagedorn announced in July that he had suffered a recurrence of his stage 4 kidney cancer. He was first diagnosed in 2019. Blizzard warning from 6 this evening through 9 tomorrow morning. KFGO Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Szymanski. Wind picking up this afternoon, some light snow moving in, and the blowing snow expected to be a problem late this afternoon through the overnight hours. High of about 16, and then falling temperatures. We're 12 now. Windy tonight, snow blowing snow, 5 below. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy, windy areas of blowing snow through at least the morning. High of 0, 1 to 3 inches of snow accumulation late today through the middle part of tomorrow, at least mid-morning. And strong winds overnight. Northwest 20 to 40 and gusty. 12, cloudy. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Fast approaching 3:10 KFGO time. I'm Tyler Axis, your host. Eric Johnson, your producer, going to be with you till that 5 o'clock punch out. Yesterday, we brought to you as it was still unfolding, but we had some of the bullet points from the White House announcing what they're hoping is going to address the rising prices of meat, poultry, and in doing so, setting aside $1 billion for small producers, amongst other things. And we had some of the Farmers Union thoughts on that, but I wanted to get on that rancher side. And to do that, we got Bill Bullard. He's the president and CEO of RCAF joining us here on KFGO. Bill, it's been a while. I hope you've been well, man.
I have. Thank you, Tyler.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time here. When I'm looking at this from afar, and this is something this discussion's been going on for quite some time. I think for those like myself included, it's definitely been heightened just because of the world we live in, but something that's been top of mind for you and the industry. I'm curious, with yesterday's rollout, what are your thoughts?
Well, we're concerned. These are all good ideas for moving forward, but our industry has been in a severe crisis for the past 7 years. And the action plan announced yesterday is one that accepts the marketplace for the way it is today and simply tweaks it on into the future. And so we're going to have to wait probably several years before any meaningful changes result as a result of the plan. And what's missing in the plan is holding the meat packers accountable for causing the harms that the administration aptly describes. They describe, exorbitant beef prices that consumers are paying. At the same time, the cattle producers are receiving depressed prices. There's now an acknowledgement that the industry is far too concentrated. So why didn't they, for example, announce that they were going to begin enforcing our Sherman and antitrust laws, Clayton Act, in order to break up some of the mergers that they had very recently approved in order to address this issue of high concentration of the packing industry? So they haven't done enough. They're not holding the packers accountable for the conduct that has been used in order to leverage down domestic cattle prices. And instead, they put forth a long-term plan that we're going to have to sit back and wait and continue to be subject to a dysfunctional marketplace until such time as some of these measures are put in place.
Well, and Bill, I guess when I saw the lineup yesterday, now granted I was doing my show, so I've been relying on our Farm and Ranch reporter and others like you that have been following along. The fact that Merrick Garland was a part of this, I was hopeful. I was really hopeful that maybe that's the authority that he has in the Department of Justice to go through the channels and investigate, hey, these Packers are too big, that sort of thing. And it sounds like maybe he was just there for that window shopping. Is that kind of what I'm gathering?
Well, we received promises from past administrations that there would be significant changes to the marketplace, but none of those promises have ever materialized. And so while we're hopeful, we're skeptical that the government will, in fact, take aggressive action, the decisive action that will be necessary in order to turn this industry around. The industry has been contracting and has been contracting for decades, and we're soon to reach the point where we no longer have the critical mass of cattle producers and feedlots and auction yards in order to even sustain a competitive industry. And so with the Attorney General there, who does have the authority to initiate enforcement action to enforce our antitrust laws and the Packers and Stockyards Act, so far no enforcement action has been taken, and it's a long time coming. They should have done it already, and we were hopeful they were going to announce it yesterday, but they did not.
I have a couple of items on the meat packing side, and this was a response from the North American Meat Institute, which represents the packing industry. They criticize the plan. And they're pointing to, and I'll read part of this quote, who is from Julie Potts, president and CEO of the North American Meat Institute. The Biden administration continues to ignore the number one challenge to meat and poultry production, labor shortages, is what they're saying. So they're pinning this on labor from the meatpacking side, saying that this isn't going to address that. I'm just curious, your response saying that this is all about labor shortage, which is causing this increase.
Well, if that were true, and that's why cattle producers in America cannot receive timely access to the marketplace, then how is it that those same meat packers are importing hundreds of thousands of fed cattle from Canada and slaughtering them in our U.S. packing plants in order to displace the market access for U.S. cattle producers? This is merely an attempt to distract and deflect attention away from the packing industry. It's what they've used successfully for the past several decades to hold Congress at bay and the administration at bay. What they want is the status quo. They want to see no changes. They've received unprecedented profit margins, according to USDA reports and from the White House, and they don't want any changes. And we recognize that. But Congress has got to demonstrate the will and courage to do what's good for the American people, because as we know today, our national food security interests are at risk, as they was evidenced during the COVID pandemic, and radical changes need to be made now in order to reverse this systemic problem that we've been experiencing for years.
Bill Bullard, our guest, president and CEO of RCAF, you mentioned Congress, and that is one thing I think, at least in the upper Midwest, where you've had across-the-board bipartisan agreement that something needs to be done. I'm curious, we were talking about the Attorney General not, maybe not doing what needs to be done when it comes to the antitrust. There's $1 billion that's being put together here. That's, you have a couple $100 million here for grants, couple $100 million there. Does that do anything to alleviate the current situation in your mind, Bill?
Well, again, it's a long-term solution. And recall that it wasn't too many decades ago that we had many, many independent processing plants scattered all across the United States. But we'd never addressed the abusive market power of the highly concentrated, the largest meat packers, and therefore they were able to gobble up all the smaller packers, and that's where we're at today. So if all we do is reinstate where we were back in the 80s by putting more packing plants there and still do not address the abusive market power emanating from these largest packers, we'll soon be right back where we are today. And so the first step has got to be to restore competition, and then to prevent any of the monopolistic conduct that is creating harms in the industry. If you do not do that, these new packing plants will struggle in order to be successful, and they're as likely as not to be gobbled up by the larger packers, bringing us right back where we're at today in just a few years down the road.
So, Bill, I'm curious, what's the biggest barrier? If we have the mechanisms, we have the department that is tasked with the authority to do this, is it what's preventing it? Is it just pressure, political pressure? I mean, is it donations? I'm just curious the reasoning why it's not being done, if it is really just that one area that could do so much.
Well, the meatpacking industry is one of the most powerful economic and political voices marching the halls of Washington, D.C. They've been able to hold Congress at bay, like I said earlier, and they continue to do so now. I think there's a significant reluctance to take on the meatpacking industry because of their tremendous power that they hold.
Final question I have for you, Bill. And the remarks yesterday, and I heard this on our CBS National News Update here on KFGO today, President Biden saying, hey, look, 50 years ago, ranchers were getting X dollar, per dollar as far as beef sale. Do we
right 60%?
Okay, and what is it at today? I didn't catch the latter part, which is why I wanted to ask, because I was hoping you had the answer because I missed it. I was driving, and where are we at now?
Last year's average was about 37%.
So that's a pretty significant drop off in a very short amount of time. So
almost double.
Yeah.
Almost double. Yes. And, the steps to correct that, number one, is mandatory country of origin labeling, passed Senate Bill 2716 that has bipartisan support. And the other is to force those packers to begin competing by requiring them to purchase at least 50% of their cattle in the competitive cash market.
Things that can be done. So we're saying, look, it's not necessarily this. Well, maybe I'll ask you, is what was addressed yesterday and rolled out, was it welcome news, or is it, hey, thanks, but this isn't going to get it done?
Well, it's what's necessary in order to sustain a competitive marketplace once you restore competition. Okay. What they haven't said is that they're going to restore competition in the marketplace and then use these new measures in order to monitor and sustain it. So they've got the cart well before the horse.
Okay. Bill, anything I missed before I let you go? I appreciate your time as always, man.
No, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, yep, you take care. Bill Bullard, he is the president and CEO of RCAF. Your thoughts on his commentary on what was rolled out yesterday, and just quite frankly, the cost of, beef, poultry, and the fact that it's been going up, but those that are raising, doing some of the work aren't exactly seeing that revenue increase. You can call into the Laney studio line 237-5948, or you can also text in to 35270. If you're on hold, you stay there. I got to take a quick pause. Todd, you'll be first out of the chute. Coming back to you right after this.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. is people are coming in. If they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is.
I'm going to get to the phone lines in a moment here, but a Road Warrior report did text in to 35270. Tyler, an accident westbound on I-94 just west of Castleton, blocking an entire road, both lanes. Highway Patrol just arriving on scene. This was sent in 3 minutes ago. So again, there was an accident westbound I-94 just west of Castleton that's blocking the entire road on both lanes, and the Highway Patrol just arriving there. So keep that in mind if you're heading west, that you're going to probably have some delays on I-94. Get to the phone lines. Todd, thanks for being patient. What's on your mind, man?
Good afternoon, Tyler. I listened to something that you said early in your interview with Bill Bullard. You said something about the bipartisan recognition of the problem with the cattle industry, and that is something I would disagree with. We've got in North Dakota a representative and a senator, two of them, of the 3, that have been pretty much oblivious and haven't had hardly a thing to say about the problem and haven't signed on to any of the bills that are out there. So I'm not too sure we're doing that well in the farm states. Bill Bullard does a great job of straightening out some of the basically the spin of the Packers and NCBA and all of that. He does a great job. Right now we've got some bills in Congress that are there that would do a lot of these things that the administration is talking about that they might get to. So I think it's important that we keep focused on these bills and try to get some movement there in the next couple of months. We need mandatory country of origin labeling. This voluntary stuff that they're talking about won't work. I attended some cattle meetings in December, and the one common thing is a lot of cattlemen are really disgusted that USDA just can't seem to carry out some of these jobs that they could get done without any further legislation. They're just not doing their job. So to put our trust in them to get their act together and start doing some of this stuff it seems kind of silly. They've let this beef checkoff get completely out of hand and almost become completely worthless. They haven't, done their stuff with the Packers and Stockyard Act, all kinds of problems. Just so I'm not confident that Biden and Bill Sack will be able to accomplish a whole lot. But I hope that Congress keeps after the stuff that they've got going on. I think there's a short window because we're going to get hung up on this election stuff in a month or two, and that'll be the end of it.
Todd, you're absolutely right on that latter part. And I'm going to ask you a question, but I want to make a point on the USDA side. That's why it's been a few times now I've said in this microphone, one of the areas that I am very disappointed in this administration is they're not getting people appointed to the positions to do the jobs. USDA is one of them. I mean, we have acting in front of a lot of these state directors instead of getting people there to do the job of what you're saying is already available to them. They've got the authority. We just don't have the people there. So I just want to make that point. But since you're saying that we don't have the bipartisan support, I'm just curious. Let's talk names. Who do we need to make the phone calls to saying, hey, you got to get on board with these bills?
Well, Hoeven has been really good in the last 6 months. He's done a lot of things. Armstrong and our other guy have done nothing, zero. And it up and down these cattle farm states, it isn't any different. We've got a guy, Senator Marshall in Kansas. He's a Packer backer. He could care less about cattlemen. So we've got the North Dakota or the South Dakota senators, I should say, have kind of come around. Tester's doing a good job, but we got Dusty Johnson in South Dakota, their representative. He doesn't know what side to be on, and it's the same all across this whole area. We've got to get cattlemen. Just cattlemen. Forget about your groups. Just cattlemen got to get these guys on to doing something.
Todd, I'm glad he called in. You set me straight. I had thought maybe it was just with the lawsuit of the whole or the investigation that I should say that started under the previous administration. Perhaps that's where I thought there was bipartisan support. But if that's not in fact the case, and we got to do more through Congress, I think we got names out there. I don't have much more time, but the final word goes to you.
So little, Tyler, with so many of these people, even some of these cattle groups, like in North Dakota, the North Dakota Stockmen's Association has stood for absolutely no policy change for these last 3 or 4 years where we've been in a real crisis. And, of course, they're an affiliate of NCBA. They've stood for no policy change for the last 3 or 4 years.
Todd, I got to get running. I appreciate the phone call, man. You call back in anytime. This conversation not going anywhere, but I'm out of time. KFGO News on the way next.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall, Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night.
Moorhead, 12 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. With a blizzard warning now in effect, flying out of Fargo tomorrow may be a big challenge. Hector International Airport Authority Executive Director Sean Doberstein says visibility for aircraft will be a concern. American has direct flights to Dallas-Fort Worth for Saturday's NDSU Montana State FCS game, and there are also charter flights to Beisner scheduled to leave tomorrow. Governor Walz has announced plans to open 3 more testing sites for COVID-19 as the rapid spread of the Omicron variant puts new strains on Minnesota's testing capacity. Minnesota's coming off its deadliest month of the COVID-19 pandemic with 874 deaths in December. The National Guard and Department of Health will open new community testing sites in Anoka, Cottage Grove, and North Branch. 4 people were injured over the weekend in a fish house explosion and fire in northern Minnesota. Beltrami County 911 Emergency Communications received a report of a fire at a fish house on Upper Red Lake. A propane tank exploded within the fish house, injuring the 4. They were taken to a resort to await first responders. A man and a woman had already been transported by ambulance to a small airport to meet air ambulances. Emergency medical services treated a second man and a woman at the resort for burn-related injuries. They were using propane for heat. A massive fireball filled the fish house after the valves were closed on the tank. Fargo-Moorhead 12, this is KFGO News. Cloudy, 12. This is KFGO News. An assistant state's attorney is running for Cass County state's attorney. Ryan Youngren is the first to announce that he wants to succeed his longtime boss, state's attorney Birch Burdick. Youngren is a graduate of the University of Denver Law School. He's been a member of the North Dakota Bar since 2007. Burdick announced in November that he will not seek re-election. Last year, Minnesota reached its highest number of traffic deaths since 2007, according to the Department of Public Safety. 497 people died in crashes. Mike Hansen with the State Office of Traffic Safety.
I'm finding it very difficult to find the right words because it's horrific, it's tragic, it's terribly sad, but it also makes me very angry that we're seeing the types of things on Minnesota roads that we continue to see.
There were 162 speed-related deaths, a 33% increase from the year before. Also last year, there were 124 drinking-related deaths, 24 distracted-related deaths, and 109 crashes where there were unbelted motorists. A man accused of shooting a man to death who confronted him about shoplifting at a St. Paul liquor store has been charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors say 44-year-old Kenneth Davis, Jr. was shot with his own gun on December 27th. According to a criminal complaint, Davis was a regular customer at the store and saw Trinus Edwards stealing vodka, then confronted him with a gun. The two men got into a struggle. Davis dropped his gun, and police say Edwards shot him. Edwards was arrested several days later at a motel. Blizzard warning going into effect this evening. It'll be in effect until at least 9 tomorrow morning. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting snow to move in, blowing snow, increasing wind this afternoon and overnight. Temperatures beginning to fall now. Areas of snow blowing snow, 5 below overnight. Northwest wind 20 to 40 and gusty. Tomorrow partly to mostly cloudy, windy with areas of blowing snow. The snowfall should end in the morning, high of about 0. Tomorrow, northwest wind 18 to 38 and gusty, gradually decreasing later. 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. That would be late today through the middle part of tomorrow morning. Partly sunny Thursday, only 8 below for a high. Friday, partly sunny, some blowing snow, and 8 above. Fargo-Moorhead, cloudy and 12. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
As per our agreement, Rusty Alverson comes back to the KFGO studio.
Yeah.
I'd asked. He
Hello.
said, sure, I'll be back. And
Yeah,
here you are, living up to your
absolutely.
word.
Yeah, good conversation the past half hour.
I
Good stuff.
was. I
Good
appreciate
stuff.
Todd calling in, and I apologize. I ran out of time. You know, clockwork is important to the biz.
Yes, it is.
You have to hit those hard outs. But
Yeah.
one thing that stood out to me, a number of things stood out over the last half hour, but in particular, Bill, with RCAF, talking about the Attorney General being there.
Yep.
But, you know, is it enough? I know that you were listening to the conversation and you took some of what Merrick Garland, of course,
Yep.
who
Yep.
are referring to.
Attorney
so,
General.
I mean,
Yep.
what do you have to offer?
Well, he highlighted that the DOJ is going to work with USDA on a plan to help ferret out unfair competition practices by meat packers with a new online portal to report bad actors.
A one-stop shop to report complaints of potential violations of our competition laws, including the Sherman and the Clayton Act, as well as the Packers and Stockyards Act. The joint channel that we are establishing will allow USDA and DOJ to collaborate early on how to appropriately address such complaints.
So to take something positive out of that, they would collaborate early on. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Talking with each other.
Yep.
But as long as they do something, and this isn't just a, hey, here's your Yelp review of that bad experience you had at that one restaurant that one time.
Yeah.
Like, this is just an airing of grievances. It's a festivus that the administration is having. If they don't do anything with the complaints, of which I'm sure there are going to be many, they get funneled in if people know about this, then what good is it do?
I think Bill raised a good point in your conversation. All of these steps that are being taken, it could be quite a ways down the road before we see real results.
And if we're already talking about losing, you know, the amount of which ranchers are getting right now, in the couple of decades we are referring to, what's it mean 10 years down the road?
Yeah.
And what does that do to competition in between now and then, which is what this conversation is certainly gearing towards.
Yeah, and it's a great conversation. Say, one little item here I have.
Okay. I got
News. Yeah, news out of Portland, I should say Oakland, California. They could get more ability to move some of their products to outgoing ships. The port's going to open and operate a 25-acre off-terminal yard equipped to move containers and store them for rapid pickup. Port authorities say about half of all the exports out of the port of Oakland are tied to agriculture. That port considered to be the preferred export gateway for most California ag exports and refrigerated protein products. So perhaps another good step there when it comes to supply chain issues.
Moving product from our shores to others. That's an okay thing to have.
Yeah. The dairy industry, first 9 months, I believe, of 2020 said they lost some, billions of dollars. So
that's because it was sitting there. You couldn't move it anywhere.
Yeah.
Bottled up.
Yeah.
All right.
But, news story, another potential positive thing.
Yeah. Optimism. We need
optimism.
that. This whole week, we need a little bit more optimism. It's a brand new year, but it's been one of those couple of days, let me tell you.
Yeah, I hear you.
I appreciate it, man. Anything else?
No. That's
okay.
That's all I got.
We're going to switch gears and talk about another crop down in South Dakota, marijuana. That's what the legislature is wanting to look at. They started their session next week. 3/4 of the bills that they have introduced so far have to do with cannabis.
Really?
We'll be talking about that after CBS National News Update.
I'll be listening.
All right, Rusty Alverson, him, Sarah Heinrich, multi-award-winning journalist of agriculture, KFGO.com. You go there, you click on that agriculture tab, you can learn a little bit more about their work. In the meantime, CBS National News, we're heading to South Dakota next.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11. And volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it up.
We're going to head on down to South Dakota. They've got a legislative session that does start, I believe, next week. And as is often the case, you have legislators introduce bills. They've got a system in which they pre-file them, and you can go dive through them before they are formally introduced to a committee and they're discussed. Well, I think last I'd seen down in Pierre, there was about 3/4 of the bills that have been introduced related to cannabis. I was curious what that means when we talk about what happened over the last 2 years with whether it's medical, recreational marijuana in South Dakota. Well, what does this mean? I want to visit with Matt Schweik. He is involved with the marijuana proposal. That did succeed last time, but you know what? I'm curious just from afar what this legislation means. Matt, welcome back to the show. How you been?
Been well. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you taking a little bit of time for us here. I know that a number of bills were introduced. I know we don't have all the details, but you know, when I see something like this just anywhere, it feels as though they're trying to preempt what they're seeing maybe from a potential measure going forward. Have you had time to dive through a little bit and see kind of, are these well-intended, or is there something we should be paying attention to here, Matt?
I think a lot of these bills are well-intended. I'm focused on Senate Bill 3, which is a bill that would pass recreational cannabis legalization in South Dakota. And we're looking at all of these bills. Many of them are related to the existing medical program. But I think it's encouraging that we're seeing this level of interest and focus on this issue. I think a lot of legislators in Pierre understand that their constituents are very frustrated. And I welcome a bill being passed, a good legalization bill. I don't need to do another ballot initiative. If they're going to force us to go back to the ballot again and win again, we will. But in terms of what's good for the people of South Dakota, that is passing legalization sooner and not later. So if we can get a good bill passed, I think that's the best outcome for the state. So I think Senate Bill 3 is a great starting point. And, you know, every legislative process involves making revisions and changes and, you know, perfecting the policy. But I think it's a great starting point, and we're rallying our supporters to contact their state representatives and state senators and send a clear message that they want the legislature to take action and to restore the will of the people.
It's interesting, Matt, because there was something. It's not identical, but it's somewhat similar that happened on the North Dakota side of this Dakota border here. That you had a measure passed, in particular when it comes to medical, and they, you know, the claim was, well, their measure wasn't very well written, so lawmakers then got together. They actually crafted things, albeit very frustrating at times, and it delayed things, but ultimately I think we got there. Some of it was to better the proposal. Some of it I think was to kind of stymie off any further attempts. But the fact that you had a measure that was passed and then was just recently overturned, I think you got the ball rolling. So I want to congratulate people down there for at least getting there. Frustrating as it is, and it's going to take for a while, but you got the attention of lawmakers, and hopefully these well-intended introductions stay that way. That's why you got to be vigilant, man.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And, you know, our pride in our victory in 2020 is unchanged by this ridiculous ruling from the South Dakota Supreme Court, a ruling based on a far-fetched legal theory that has no basis in reality, that rejects common sense, and is essentially a technicality. So, you know, we remain proud of what we did in 2020, and also, you know, we passed 2 initiatives. We passed medical and recreational, and this isn't our first rodeo in the South Dakota legislature. Last year, we worked very hard to defend the medical law because Governor Noem wanted to severely delay it. She wanted to push back the entire implementation by a year, and she failed. We defeated her, and we kept the medical law on the timeline established by voters. and implementation has not been perfect, but it's moving through the process. We'd love to see more medical cannabis patient cards available. I think that will improve over time. But we've already had a legislative win last year. We defeated Governor Nome when she tried to do something completely unreasonable in defiance of the will of the voters. And last time we were defending medical, and this time we're trying to proactively pass recreational. So it's certainly a more difficult task. But I think there's a lot of frustration and anger around the Amendment A case, and that's going to help us have a chance at passing a recreational bill in this session. But it's not going to be easy, and we really need our supporters to take action.
One final question I have for you before I got to get to our weather guy, because there's weather moving into the area here, Matt. But because of the timing of this, we got an election coming up in November. These introduce pieces of legislation. Are you still going to be on the side, still trying to collect signatures? Does this at all interfere with the need of signatures before that November election, or are we well ahead of that?
So we're going to do two things at the same time. We're going to continue our signature drive, keep collecting signatures. We have until May, and the legislative session will be done before then.
Okay.
So if we're successful and pass the legalization bill, we can stop the signature drive. Mm-hmm. If we don't pass the legalization bill, we can continue the signature drive, put ourselves back on the ballot next year. So we have two paths, and we're continuing. We're maintaining both options, but the best outcome is to pass a bill.
Yeah.
And to recycle all of those petitions.
That best case scenario. I hope we get there, Matt. I'm going to let you go. I appreciate your time. I tell you what, though, during the session, we're going to be calling back to see how things are going. All right.
I think it's going to be an interesting session, so look forward to talking.
All right. We'll chat again soon. You take care. Matt Schweik, he is one of those individuals that organized the successful petition that just was overturned in the court. They overturned your vote in South Dakota where you're listening to me right now. So be watching this session. We'll bring you all the latest on that. And in fact, we're going to bring you some other latest when it comes to your weather across the upper Midwest. Too Tall Tom Schmansky joins us again here on Afternoons Live. Tom, what's the latest out there, buddy?
Snow's approaching. We're okay here for a little bit. If people want to go to Frisco, head out now or wait till probably Thursday. There's a little window right now, but then you'll be driving at night, and the wind will be picking up, and it won't be a great deal either because of blowing snow between here and the middle of South Dakota. But the snow, at least in terms of the snow that will begin to accumulate, is on the radar. At least it's somewhere between Valley City and Jamestown to just north of Grand Forks near Grafton and westward. So it's moving our way, and as I've been talking about all along, it'll probably locally hit the area sometime during the PM rush hour, or the evening rush hour, if you want to call it that, at this time of the year. And the wind will continue to ramp up, and by the time we get into the middle of the nighttime tonight through tomorrow, and especially in the morning, those winds will be gusting over 40 miles per hour, and that coupled with fresh snowfall and the snow that's on the ground now will allow for considerable BS out there that's blowing snow, and this blowing snow will reduce visibilities to near zero out in the open country, and even in town, maybe a quarter to a half mile at the best at the height of the system. And I don't think we're going to get still, not looking at that much snow with the system, anywhere from as little as an inch or two to as much as 3 or 4 across the region. Locally, might be, as you go into parts of Lakes Country and Minnesota's Northland, might be a little more snow, maybe on the order of 4, 5, 6 inches in a couple spots, but that'll be the exception rather than the rule as well. So again, the main emphasis here is blowing snow, but it will be at its worst when the blowing snow coincides with the snowfall, which will be predominantly between the hours of 7 a.m. and about or 7 p.m. and about 7 or 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. The wind will probably hang in there most of the day tomorrow, showing a tapering trend later on in the day. And then the emphasis goes from blowing snow and snow over toward dangerously low wind chills that will be well into the 30s below late tonight through tomorrow and into tomorrow night. A little bit of a moderation later on Friday after a bone-chilling start. Some places Thursday night, Friday morning could be in the 25 to 30 below range, and then warming up a little bit into the single numbers on Friday. Saturday, I think we'll see some teens and back into the icebox again on Sunday. Maybe some flurries or light snow Friday night and also into Saturday. Right now, Tyler, that wind is, out of the north, close to 20 miles per hour, but it's going to turn more northwest and pick up even more. And we're at 13, and again, the snowfall is probably still, I would say, about 90 minutes to 2 hours or so away from us in terms of accumulation starting.
right when people are able to hit that punch clock and get on home is what I'm hearing.
Isn't it all about timing?
It is. It's always timing. It's always the worst timing possible when it comes to weather. But again, nothing a guy can do about it. He's just
Mother Nature doesn't care.
No, doesn't care one bit. I assure you that. Too Tall, I appreciate it, man. Anything else before I let you go?
No, we'll catch you again next hour.
All right, I'll save that seat for you, my man. Too Tall, Tom Szymanski. There you have it, folks. Again, plan accordingly. If you plan on getting on the road, you're going to probably be pushing those departure times back ever so slightly. Get you a quick break here when we come back. Wrap up hour number 2 of Afternoons Live next.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate.
5 minutes until the top of the hour, 4 o'clock, final hour with you right here on KFG. We'll get underway. Derek Kent's going to be taking over for Eric Johnson, who will be over at Mackenzie River. Again, if you are looking to win a way down to Frisco with some tickets to go to the game, that's on Saturday. You can get on over there. It's the last chance to win that Midwest tour, the sports tour bus that we had an opportunity to visit with Mike Schmitza about yesterday. Again, podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts, you just look up Afternoons Live with me, Tyler Axis, or just go to KFGO.com. You can listen to it there to learn a little bit more about that. Again, with everything going on weather-related, for those of you that are eager to get on out, head south, in which we're going to have a game time temp of mid-60s. Too Tall says, look, if you're wanting to go now or probably Thursday, unless you're one of those crews like we used to be. So, I mean, back when we were youngins, we'd do the overnight. I mean, you'd leave after work, and you would drive straight through to Frisco. You'd rotate on and off who's driving. Then, a couple years went by. This is, what could it be, year number 9 for us? All of a sudden, Oklahoma City doesn't sound too bad. Maybe stay there. Stay overnight there. Then you can get up, finish the drive the next day. Maybe Wichita doesn't sound too bad this time. Maybe it's going to be Wichita for us. I don't know. This is one thing. You got to be so flexible with this. You were hearing, Hector Dobrich saying, look, pack some patience. And if you are a regular listener of this program with me as your host, patience and I, let's be real, I don't have enough space in the cargo for the patients, but we're going to have to do it because nothing else a guy or a gal could do when it comes to the weather. So keep it locked in here. We'll give you road reports on the way down. Again, we're hitting the road sometime, and we will get there sometime, and we'll be broadcasting for you down at Wild Pitches, the plan as of right now, and I hope to be visiting with you in Frisco at least one of the 2 days down there, because we'll be bringing you all the sights and sounds of the national championship game. Keep it locked in. Here's what's coming up in the second hour. 27 hours. Can you imagine being stranded? Okay, we're talking about being stranded before you can leave. Can you imagine actually being on the highway, on an interstate, stranded in a vehicle for over 27 hours? That's what was happening in Virginia. We'll talk about that when we come back in. Whatever else you want to get off your chest, 35270. You can also call the Laney Studio line, 237-5948. Stick around.